Welcome back from the break. You're still live on Metro Sports with me, Michael Kofi Odro. Kwame, let me start with you. From yesterday, multiple media reports that this one has been dropped, that has been dropped. But the information I'm privy to is that from yesterday, the coach named a 55-man provisional squad, and from yesterday, he started speaking to members of that 55-man provisional squad. Most of them, those that are not part of the final 32 that will be pruned down to 26. So already, not necessarily, but between now and the time, even if he makes a 26-man squad today, there are still players that who will be on standby just in case between now and 13th of November, where we submit our final squad.
Okay.
If the unfortunate happens
to someone.
So, okay. But at this point, there are players in that 55-man squad he knows will not make the squad.
Okay. So he's called to speak to them.
That is what we are hearing. That he started engagement with these players to let them know that they will not be part of the team for the World Cup, at least so that they are not surprised when the list is finally made public to the media or to Ghanaians at large. And the reports are that some of these people he's spoken to have also spoken to their media allies or have leaked the information to the media. So the reason we hear that this one is not part, this one has been dropped, this one is not coming. But you guys have a lot of experience in this job, and the sort of anxiety, the panic, the tension that comes along with naming squads for a major tournament like this. What do you make of all of these happenings?
They happen. It's not new. It would always happen. All over the world. There are certain players who know that they are certainties for their national team. Like now, Messi doesn't have to sleep and wake up and be concerned whether he will be in the Argentine squad. Even if he has one leg, he would go. There are certain players who also know that they are hanging. There are certain players who know that it will be almost like a miracle. For example, I only got to hear of Patrick Pozo just about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I had seen him play for Sherry Terapsol. I didn't even know he was Ghanaian. Honestly, I had not paid attention to him because I've watched a number of their games in the UEFA Europa League this season, and I honestly didn't pay attention to him. A player like that, if he's dropped, he knows that in the last 1 year, he's not even in part of the coach's plans. The coach only named a 55-man squad just in case somebody was not available, then they would find a way to, get other players in. These players are also very much aware that only 26, whether they like it or not, would be able to go to the World Cup. The coach could have decided to just name the 26. He could have just decided to go with the 26. But, there could be injuries, there could be anything. So that's why he's gone with 55. So there are players who know that they are certainties. And I'm sure all of us can look at the squad and confidently mention up to about 20 players who we are damn sure will be there. Nobody can tell me that, for example, out of the 5 goalkeepers that have been mentioned, you don't know that Jojo Walcott and Ofori are certainties. It is the other 3 who are scratching their heads as to whether they would go or not. Nobody can tell me that in a defense where we are likely to go with about 9 or up to 10, depending on what the coaches want to do, in the right fullback position, Prof and Tariq Lamptey will be there. In central defense, is there anyone here who doesn't know that Daniel Amati, Salisu, Jiku will be there? Those 3, possibly Joseph Edu, who has had a fine season for Celta Vigo. Those 4, the old-fashioned number 4 and 5. Who doesn't know that these 4 are likely to make it? In the left fullback position, who doesn't know that in the last 1 year, if the call-ups of the coaches are concerned, Baba Rahman and Gideon Mensah will go? In the middle of the pack, who doesn't know that a player like Idrisu Baba will be there? Who doesn't know that a player like Kwabnache, Andre Ayew, Kudus? You can name it, the wingers. If you look at his call-ups, who doesn't know that Fatah Ishaku would be in the squad? He's somebody the coaches like. So he's been around the team from day one. Who doesn't know he will be there? Who doesn't know that the player, the chap who plays for Red Star Belgrade, Osman Bukari, who doesn't know he will be in the team? Who doesn't know Jordan will be in the team? Who doesn't know that Inaki Williams will be in the team? So there are certain players, it's almost like a certainty they will be there. But once you have up to a 55-man squad and only 26 can go, naturally some will be disappointed. But the conversation will then boil down to, on what basis will the player be chosen over the other? There are some places who have very good performances for their for their club sides and struggle with their national teams, and vice versa. How on earth Bobby Firmino was dropped by Brazil is still being discussed in Brazil. His stats are better than all the strikers that Tite has named. But for whatever reason, Chiche says he is going with the others. He's not going with Firmino. Firmino has scored more goals. He has more assists than all the Brazilian strikers who are going to the World Cup. All of them, not one. All of them. But he's been dropped with Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. And there is even a guy at Porto, Pedro or something. Even he has been chosen ahead of Bobby Firmino. And Chiche says he has his reasons why he's going with that. What can I do? Otto Addo would have his reasons why he's going with that, with whoever he wants to go with. But we can also sit here and say, hang on a minute, on the evidence of what we have seen. So, for example, yesterday I saw a list of players who were allegedly dropped. So let me just use one as an example. If you put out a squad and you have separated, who doesn't know that wingers are midfielders? But you have separated the wingers from the midfielder in the squad that was released. Of the wingers that were on the list, who has had a better season than Joseph Pencil as we speak? None. But his name is supposedly not in the squad. Apparently, he turned down an invitation when we were going to Japan for those 2 friendly matches, and Otto Addo was not pleased about it. So, I think he's like literally been shut out. That's why he wasn't even called for those friendly matches. So, the coach would have his reasons.
But Kwame, could that be enough justification to leave the boy out? If we
for you, no. For the coach, yes. What can you do?
So if that is the case, then how about those that did not even feel Ghanaian, let alone represent Ghana
as I sit here, if I were the head coach and I'll name a team, I would go with form. There are some coaches who decide not to go with form for whatever reason. For example, which top elite team will take a player like Isahaku to the World Cup? Fatah Isahaku. He doesn't even get games at the Sporting B. He doesn't even get games there. Which top elite team will take him? But for whatever reason, our coaches like him, they would want to take him. It's their prerogative. I can sit here and shout and scream that I think someone is better. Who doesn't know that in the last 1.5 years, every time Kamaldeen Suleimana plays for the national team, he barely performs. But he appears to have a good time with Star Rene. Who doesn't know this? But for whatever reason, the coaches like him. At this point, if we were starting a match, let's go back to 2010 World Cup. Stedapia was benched for the day I used to start as a number 10. At this point, I would start Tre and Kudus and drop Andre Ayew. Would the coach want to do that? It is up to him. That is me. So everybody would have an opinion about who should be there and why this is not there and why this is not there. Ultimately, those 4 people would decide. We can sit here and shout and scream and say what we want based on what we think it is right. The coaches will tell you, I work with them. I train with them. I speak with them. I know what everybody brings to the table. When we also watch them, you remember those comments of Dr. Kike Sapon when he said, we saw players play in a certain way, and we thought certain players at the time when it was Akotoko were better. But the coaches would go with someone else. Let's face it, what can we do? We can only talk and express our opinions about who is going, but ultimately, the coaches will decide. And there's a coach here. I'm sure coach understands me. Ultimately, you people will decide. Who am I? I'm not a coach. When I say you decide, I'm just saying the coaches will decide. Unless you know something I don't know. And I know you know people, okay. So maybe you know something that I don't know.
Later, Kwame, I'll come back to you so you share with us which players you think must make the squad and which ones you know will make the squad at all costs. But Naned, let me come to you with the general thoughts, the anxiety and all in town around the naming of the Black Star squad.
I've said this thing on this platform before, and I'll say it again. The first thing is, we've given a job to someone. We want results. That is the first thing. We've given a job to someone to coach the national team. And we are expecting something from it. That is the first thing. Number 2, every national team in the world who want to do well at every major tournament have a fair idea as to the players you take to that tournament in the last 6 months. Every national team. I'm sure that is one of the reasons why Firmino is not in, but Richarlison is in. Because in the last 3 games under Titi, he has scored goals much more than any of the attackers. But in the last 6 games for Tottenham Hotspur, he's not even playing. So every national team who want to do well in every major tournament, The coach has a fair idea as to players he is taking to that tournament in the last 6 months. That is why I'm one person. In the last 3 months, maybe Afnajan is not in the best of form. But he was key player in the Ghana against the Nigeria game. I would take Afna to the World Cup. During the second half of Ghana against Nigeria, when the coach shifted to the back three with 5 midfielders, the person who did the trick in that game was that tall midfielder he brought in the second half, called Elisha Usu of Ghent. He came to change that game. He should be an important player to our national team going to this World Cup. Unless you don't know the team. Or no, you don't follow the national team in the last 6 months. Elisha Usu is a key midfielder after Idris Baba and Thomas Partey in our national team now. I would take Elisha Usu to the World Cup than Mubarak Wakasu. I would take Elisha Usu to the World Cup than Jeffrey Schnopp, who have snubbed or declined a call-up in the last 5 call-up of our national team coaches. So I would take Elisha.
You know that for a fact. As in he declined.
No, let me find out. Are you talking about his quality, or you are talking about the attitudes of other players giving him the edge?
That is why I said every national team who want to do well in a major tournament have a fair idea as to players he's taking to the tournament in the last 6 months.
Okay.
So obviously, if I'm a coach, Otto Addo, I've not seen you, Jeffrey Schlopp, playing for the Black Star in the last 6 months. You want me to gamble on you going to a major tournament? You are not Messi. You are not Ronaldo. You are not Neymar. Do we have some in our national team? So I will rely on the most important game we played in the last 6 months and choose the best players out of it.
And you feel Elisha is one of our best?
And Elisha is one of the key players who qualified us to the World Cup in Nigeria. So I will be disappointed in the coach if a player like Thomas Partey doesn't make the list. If a player like Fernando Fernandez doesn't make the list. If a player who came to change our style of play in the second half in Elisha Usu doesn't make the list. So to be honest, let's be fair to the coach. He should choose the best players within the last 6 months who has contributed to the success of the Black Stars. And stop choosing for the coach. We have given him a job, a task.
Is anybody choosing for the coach?
Oh, obviously, when you hear some of these comments from some of our past national team coaches, it means, oh, coach.
You said choosing for the coach. You are here choosing for the coach. Are you not?
I'm not a coach.
Yeah.
A former coach he came to say it. Go to a time, some of the key people were imposing some of the players on him. My point I want to make is, in everything, you need to get a focal point. And the focal point with the Black Star in the last 6 months was the game against Nigeria. Me, if I'm a head coach of the Black Stars, about 90% of the players who played against Nigeria will go to the World Cup.
Okay, but Nanedu, let's put that aside. You keep mentioning Afenajan, you keep mentioning Elisha Owusu. Now, if we put aside the fact that they have been, I mean, you can take them as individuals and do this assessment. If we put aside the fact that they've been key members of the Black Stars in that qualifying game against Nigeria, and even after the qualifiers who have played for the Africa
Cup, they've been consistent with the
Nations,
national team in the last 6 months.
Yes. If you put that aside, do you think that competitively, if we were to assemble the best Ghanaian players, without taking into consideration those that have snubbed call-ups in the past, those that have turned down the opportunity, those that are new, and want to put together the best 26 players for the Black Stars, have these players got the quality to be competitive and have the edge over the other contenders?
Brazilian league is one of the best leagues in the world. We've seen a player coming from the Brazilian league straight to Barcelona, he starts. We've seen a player coming from Brazilian league straight to Real Madrid, he starts. Arguably, the best teams in the world. Out of the 26 players Titi brought out, only 3 players were coming from the Brazilian league. Will you be fair to the success of the country when we go to this current World Cup and we don't take a player like Elisha Owusu to the World Cup? We don't take a player like Joseph Painter to the World Cup. But you take a 3-year ban here to the World Cup. We wouldn't be fair to the success of this country. He is not a better player than some of these players. Unless you bring in the quota system. That will only be the point that will take a 3-year ban here to the World Cup. But in terms of performance,
What quota? What quota?
maybe that is why people are saying a lot of things about these players.
Talk about your mind, not
So
about
what
people.
is the quota? Is it?
We don't have any quota in this country.
Local players
Yes,
as against.
as against some of the foreign players.
Okay.
But the 3-year ban here today is not a better player than Elisha Osu from that midfield position. A 3-year ban here today is not a better player than Joseph Painter.
Okay.
Will a 3-year ban here start against in that position that Elisha Osu is playing? Will a 3-year ban here start against the position that Joseph Painter is playing?
Okay.
Let's be fair.
I'll come back to you, but let me go to Coach Ebenezer Sefer and take his initial thoughts as well.
Nana.
My friend Alasan Sumanu will say he's getting murkier.
Efriye Baniye and Elisha Owusu and then Joseph Painter. They are 3 different players.
But in the list of the code, they were all in the midfield.
Please allow me.
When what?
If Efriye Baniye is in Gengi, they will not allow him to play the position Elisha Owusu is playing. These are 3 different positions, 3 different. So you don't
Juggle all of them.
Of course, I mean.
Okay.
Anyway.
But Nanedu is making a point.
Of course. I mean, when he talks,
I want
when
to
he talks
confirm.
of Elisha Owusu, no doubt about it. His quality, his attributes, and even his physics alone gives you the confidence if you're a coach on the touchline. A player that comes in and makes sure that he can even bully his opponents in midfield with his structure, and a player who is getting more playing time in the league that he's playing, alongside Joseph Painter. We have Majid Ashimero. Ghanaian players that are playing in the Belgium league are doing very well. So when he talks of Elisha Owusu, no doubt about it. And per what I'm hearing and I'm seeing, there's no way Otto Addo is going to let this guy out of the squad. And of course.
Does it mean you'll be very surprised if a player like Elisha Owusu doesn't make the squad?
Why not? I'll be surprised. Because look, when you look at our midfield, we are all praying for Partey to be fit, Partey to be fit, Partey to be fit. If Partey is not fit today, is not there, you can rely on Elisha Owusu.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's true.
We always talk about Partey. We don't talk about Elisha Owusu. We talk about Salisu and all that. Salisu, Idrisu, and then Elisha Owusu. I'll go in for Elisha Owusu. I'm not going for Salisu. Idrisu. No, I will not go in for him. I will not do that. I watched Idrisu against Nicaragua. I watched him against the Brazilian team, and we suffered in our midfield against the Brazilian team. The pocket of spaces that the Brazilians were using, he was nowhere to be found.
And he's not a ball progressor.
You understand my point? Yeah. That is why when you are talking about players, comparing players, you know, or look at the attributes of the players, the roles that the players are playing, and which players complement their effort in their teams that they are playing.
Okay.
That is the reason why I was surprised to see Efriye Baniye's name in the midfield. In the midfield. Because he's not a midfielder. He's not. I scattered Efriye Baniye. He's not. Ask Karim Zito. He took him to the under-20. Is he a midfielder? He's not.
I understand.
Please allow me.
The game against Madagascar training ground, they were using him as a midfielder.
No, they were not using him.
Let's
see, when it comes to training sessions,
Nana, you've had your time.
There are training drills that you can do. For instance, if I want to do a ring play, I can decide to put a goalkeeper there just to be as a defender. When we went to Egypt with the U23, Dan Lad was playing as a left back as the training ground because we wanted to practice something. That doesn't mean that is where the player plays. When you visit a team's training ground, try to ask questions, and you know why some coaches do certain trainings at the training grounds. So for me, sometimes we talk about your familiar's name is in the 55. Is he a winger? I'm asking you, is he a winger? He's not. So I want to hear from Otto Addo the rationale behind this midfielders, these wingers, the strikers. That's why I don't want to make so much noise about the list that I've seen outside, because I want to see the list coming from Otto Addo. The 55, you saw his name, his picture under the 55. So that when I'm talking about the 55, I know I'm talking about the 55 that
The 2 others put out.
of course. But the 26 that I'm seeing out there, why should I comment about it? It has not come up from Otto Addo. From now to Sunday, it's not far.
Wait.
But as you said, if the 26 is mentioned, there's nothing you and I can do about it.
So this is the time where we can share our thoughts and draw the attention of the decision
Michael,
makers.
we started sharing our thoughts. We started sharing our thoughts
long ago.
Not today.
So you don't listen.
We started sharing our thoughts when he was appointed.
But these are the crucial moments.
No, I'm saying that we started sharing.
There are times where even in meetings, I mean in organizations, there are times where at the very critical or crucial stages like this, you judge, or even sometimes you go out and speak to people who are not connected.
Just to gauge some thoughts. Yeah.
Some thoughts. And you see that sometimes the people you least expect are even able to give you some ideas or draw your attention to something
that you
crucial you may have not
ignored,
considered. Yes.
Yes,
that is why conversations like this are important
And I'm
around
saying
this
that
time.
we started doing these things before, when he was appointed, before we played the Nigerian doubleheader, right? And we'll keep on doing that because we still have other matches after the World Cup to play.
Yeah.
I'm saying this because personally, there are some players that I feel that if they are able to make the squad, it will help the Black Stars. I did mention Majid Ashimeru, Elisha Owusu, Joseph Pentel, Osman Bukari. These are players that when you see them play, you watch them play offensively, you have a lot of options. They are multifunctional players on the front of play. You see, in every team, you should have your best defender, the most dangerous player, the most influential player of your team. Today, one will say Andrew is our most influential player of the setup. That is what one may say. But I can also tell you that Kudus may be our influential player on the front of play. Or probably Thomas Tepate, who is our best player up front. So all depends on what Otto Addo, Didi Dramani, George Boateng, and Chris Hughton have put together, and they will present to FIFA. And before they do that, I'm sure Ghanaians are going to hear, as you were talking about the Brazilian coach, he left Firmino. I'm sure he gave reasons why he left Firmino. He went in for
he left Gabriel.
No, he gave reasons. But as we sit here, there's no reasons from anybody. We are just seeing lists out there. But I'm saying that personally, Elisha Owusu, if you are thinking about Partey being fit, we are all praying for Partey to be fit. There's another player called Elisha Owusu who, when he makes the squad of the 26, it will help Ghana. So, Michael, for me...
So for you, Elisha is our best bet apart from Partey in midfield. Is that what you are saying?
Comparatively, if to me, if Partey is not in there, in as much that he has played one match for the Black Stars and his output of that game, and I'm using the last game, the friendly that we play against Nicaragua and the Brazilians, the midfield that I saw, the Brazilians were virtually walking in the game, but our midfield that was the reason why when Kudus came into the midfield, he had issues with Casemiro, because he was also tough. He didn't want to allow Casemiro to bully him. But what were the other midfielders doing in the game? And people are not looking at it. That caused us to that defeat that Brazilian gave it to us. The pocket of spaces in midfield. Michael, you see, and I'm sure Otto Addo knows what Ghanaians are calling for. I mean, Didi Dramani is aware, George Boateng, and I'm sure, by the time they come out with the 26, the one that is out there, Michael, it is rumor. It could be true, it could be not. You understand? But yeah. I'm looking at it at the angle that, look, I'll be waiting for Otto Addo to bring it. But for me, the names that we are mentioning, if he has forgotten, he can just go back, get their tapes, talk to their technical people, and I'm sure those names that some of us are mentioning, Michael, is going to be key. It's going to help us. I did spoke about Felix Afenajan. Yes, he was given the opportunity against the Nigerians. My friend was talking about he being key and all that. I believe that he will be good for the U23. That is me. Ishaku Fatahu, for me, it will be good for him to start from the U23. He's given the opportunity at the Black Stars. No two ways about it. But comparatively, if I have Joseph Mentel, if I have Osman Bukari, I will not allow them to stay and then pick Ishaku Fatahu. I won't do that.
Okay.
I won't do that. So that is why I'm saying that I'll be waiting for the 26-man squad to come out. But by the time the 26th man comes out, whatever we will say, it won't go anywhere. But all the same, we will talk about it.
I like that.
Come here, let me come back to you. I said that I was going to come back to you for you to also share your thoughts on which players you think are sure bets, those that you would love to see in Qatar. And the surprises already, even in the 55-man squad, as big as the squad is,
There were
are
some surprises.
There were some surprise omissions.
Like
And-
when I looked at the strikers list and I saw Caleb Ekuba, that I did not see Bernard Tekpeti.
Bernard
Like,
Tekpeti-
I could not.
Pablo Usu, in
I
fact,
could not run.
Pablo Usu, his club is playing and he's just scoring. The guy keeps scoring week in, week out.
Maybe
And
because he plays. Maybe
I
because
mean,
he plays for what? Does he still play for Karabakh?
Yeah, he plays
Karabakh,
for Karabakh. No,
Yeah.
but
That's what I'm saying,
Kwame,
maybe because
Kwame,
he
you
plays
can
for
you can choose
Karabakh.
not to respect the league in Azerbaijan. But how about the Europa League?
No,
And
Exactly.
we got the best out
And
of
the team-
Azerbaijan when
his
he
team
moved.
No,
has
Kwame,
even
Kwame,
been playing in the
before-
qualifiers of the Champions League.
before he
They
even
couldn't
went-
make it and went into the
Kwame,
Europa.
Into the Europa.
So if you are picking somebody from Sheriff Tirabso, you don't have an excuse for not paying attention to a player who plays in Azerbaijan. So if you're going to the extent of calling a player, where does Caleb Kuban play? In the
Kwame.
Serie B, I think.
Kwame,
Oh, so
Usu-
you actually pay attention to the Serie B,
Kwame
the
Usu,
second
when he was
division,
playing even
but you don't pay
in
attention
fourth
to another.
division and third division. He was a key in the Blast Stars team that I went to. 1919.
And he played. We saw
He
him.
has gained experience.
But he was overlooked.
And he's playing very well.
And he was
a
overlooked.
player with full of confidence.
That's why I said earlier on that sometimes some of these call-ups are almost impossible to understand. But the coaches would always say they have a justification for why they are calling player or player A or player B. So we respect that. It's their job.
So let's wait
if
for
they go
Tony.
and they perform, praise him. If they go and they don't perform too, we will bash them properly. I mean, that's our job. So one of the things I try not to, I won't worry my head shouting and screaming about why this is not there. Like I've seen the way some of my friends have gone very emotional about why this player is. There's nothing I can do about it. I won't kill myself. But I would respect your decision for going with a particular player. In the same vein, if it goes and it doesn't work, I think nothing stops me from criticizing the fact that you went with player A and it did not work, when player B was clearly a better player at this particular point. So I would respect that. If you look at the squad, like I said earlier on, it's not too difficult to pick 20 straight away. It's not too difficult to pick 20 straight away.
Yeah.
It's not too difficult that the goalkeepers, you pick Jojo and Ofori. It's not too difficult. It's not too difficult that in the defense you can call out 9 players straight away. It's not too difficult. Denis Odoy, Tariq Lamptey, Jiku, Salisu, Amate, Edu, Gideon Mensah, Baba Rahman. Yeah, Joseph Edu.
So, the way you mentioned that is not difficult to
me.
someone sent me a list claiming that it is the 26-man squad.
Okay.
And
Everybody has their squad.
And it is authentic.
Uh-huh.
So I scanned through the goalkeepers. I didn't have an issue. I scanned through the defenders. And there was no Tariq Lamptey. Then I stopped. I
So you
didn't.
straight away-
I didn't
because-
continue
because
because I knew that it was not authentic. At this point
unless
where
he's injured.
at this point where Tariq Lamptey is not injured, you are sure that he will go to.
He
the
would go
World
to
Cup.
the. That's what I'm saying. It's a little easy. Maybe out of
So we have
respect-
some sure bets.
We have some sure
So
bets.
Kwame, who are
That's-
these sure bets?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. So I've gone with the 2 goalkeepers I think are sure bets. Jojo and Ofori are sure bets. The other 3, they will fight among themselves based on whatever criteria the coach would want to use there. Because apparently a lot of people are calling for Abdulman Avnuruddin. But in almost 3 months, he hasn't even punched the ball.
Yesterday he was imposed.
Okay, luckily. Well, thank God. I'm sure he'll be happy with that opportunity. In the defense, I've called 8. I'm told Ambrosius is injured. So he might not make the team. One of the lure for the Boggers was Qatar. That's why they came. If Ambrosius was called up for Germany, he won't consider Ghana. If Koningsdorfer was called for Germany, he won't consider Ghana. There was a lure for the World Cup. That's why they've come. So for the defense, I've mentioned 9. If they want to go with 10, it's up to them. For the midfield, you have sure bets. Partey is sure bets. Baba Idrisu is sure bets. Idbonado, Wakasu, Andre Ayew, Daniel Chere. Those players in the midfielders are sure bets. But there is something we call, what's the word? Players who are knocking very hard on the doors.
Surprise package.
It's not surprise. They have to be there.
They have to be there.
Because maybe they are, if you like for another player when the player is not available. At this point, one of the reasons why the two of you are mentioning Elisha Owusu is for a very simple reason. Do we have a player in our team who plays like Partey apart from him?
No.
Think about it. And everybody who has followed Arsenal this season knows that the player has fitness issues. He's our best bet in this position. But can we trust that, for example, if we are going all the way to the final, Partey can play all 7 matches without a challenge? So maybe in a game, for example, if we have won our first 2 matches and we've qualified for the round of 16, we can choose to rest Partey in the last game and play somebody like Elisha to come in and do a good job. So that is why you would want a certain player in there. So some are sure bets, but this is the reason why I would go for some of the others. I would go with Elisha Owusu. I wouldn't go with Bubarak Wakasu. Yes, he has the experience and all of that. What has he done in the last year and a half? Unless you want to call him based on his past experience. We go forward in life. We don't go backwards. If he's not in our team, he's not the Messi. If he's not in our team, we are not losing anything. I want Joseph Pinsel to be there. I think in offense, in that position, I think at this point, I'll choose him over Isaaku. I'll choose him over Osman Bukari. That's my opinion. I've watched Osman play for Red Star Belgrade. He's been fantastic. But I've watched Pinsel play for Genk, and he's been super fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't tell me that at this point, the Serbian Superliga is of a higher quality than the Belgian Super League. And if you have watched him, he's so direct, he's so quick, he's so fast. And sometimes you need, and he's added goals to his game. Why would you want to overlook a player like that? Why would you? But again, it's up to the coaches. If you look at one of the most, I don't want to use the word funny out of respect, but our strikers list, I am sure if you call, with the greatest respect to who called out these players, it's probably one of the easiest choices to make. It's easy. Of all the 5 players, if I were the coach, I'll take only one. Which is the name at the top, Inaki Williams.
But the list that I'm having here, the strikers are only 2, Jordan and then Inaki.
Because
Williams.
Jordan as a winger, I don't even get it. So push Jordan in the striker's position.
It's Jordan and
this
Inaki
is why
that
I
I
say
have
this. When was the last time you followed Richard Mbochi? When was the last time you followed anything about Caleb Ekuban?
No, but Richmond is playing in the Greek league.
He played 15 minutes over the weekend.
No, but
I'm looking at
if
Richmond
you
in
want
the
to
last
combine,
12 calendar months.
Preseason and I think he scored even
Michael,
in the league he scored.
Michael, don't
he
do
scored
that.
twice.
Preseason saying.
No, but he scored twice in the league.
Michael,
No, because you asked the last time we had
Yes,
Today, I'll pick Joel Famia ahead of.
Kwesi Wright.
Okay.
Look, Kwesi Wright has been hovering around our team for about 6-7 years now. Some coaches will come in, call him, he stays on the bench, he doesn't play 2 minutes, 3 minutes. He's always played in the lower tiers of German football. What does he bring to the team, Unia? Antoine Semenyo. He played for 10 minutes against Madagascar. Then he had no year. Felix Afenajan. Look, I mean, for all that we've said about Afenajan and his importance in the game against Nigeria, that was literally like his call to fame. And the goal he scored for Roma last season from the wings, that was like his call to fame. All the minutes, and I did this work, all the minutes that Felix Afenajan has played as a professional footballer, if you add all the minutes of all the matches that he has played, it is not up to 5 matches. In his entire life in Italy, it's not up to 5 matches if you put all the minutes together. For all that he brings to the team, he's a talent, that is not in doubt. But even at the club level, he moved from Roma to Cremonese because of playing time. And even there's this Nigerian, the Okereke or something like that.
Yeah, David Okereke.
He's always starting ahead of him. Sometimes all Afina gets is 5 minutes.
But yesterday
10 minutes.
he played 63 minutes.
Maybe he's gradually warming himself into the team, or the coach believes that the others
Picking form at the right time.
he's maybe picking form at the right time, whatever you want to call it. But it's not like all of them are at a form where you would say, Charlie, we are a problem. If you take Inaki out, all of them are just like hangers on. So I would not be surprised, if none of the 5, apart from Inaki, do not go to the World Cup. And Jordan is pushed there. And we pack the midfielders with ball-playing midfielders who can also score, like a Kudus. if we're going, Isaku would always go. Whether you scream your lungs out or not, he would be there. The coaches appear to like him, so he would go. If you have a Kudus, if you have Isahaku, if you have a Pencil, if you have players who can
The last Blaster game, he scored the goal.
yeah, if you have players who also have an eye for goal from midfield positions, you don't need Wright and all these Semenyos and all these guys. But of course, that is my opinion. It is up to the coaches to decide.
Okay, that is your opinion. Let's see what our viewers are also saying. This one says, welcome back, my boss, Abukari from Tamale. Okay, Abukari, thank you. Greetings, Metro TV, watching you live from Awoshi. Keep up the good work, Gideon. Okay. This one says that, welcome back from wherever you have been. Michael, I'm sad about Sadio's injury. I wish him speedy recovery. I'm also happy Barca won the game. Wisdom, Doyomu. Good morning. My name is Felix Intoso from Insawon. Please, can you give me the final Black Stars list for the World Cup? Greetings to all Chelsea and Kotoko fans. Okay, we're all waiting on Coach Otto Addo.
We have Otto Addo. Okay. Yes,
That's nice.
This one says, hello, boss. Can you please? Okay, it says he wants to be added to the WhatsApp group. We'll see. It says, you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. This message reads, okay. This one says, good morning, Sir Michael and your panelists. Ghanaians talk with no facts. Sir, any which way, Ghana Black Stars winning the World Cup in Qatar. Okansi Ernest, watching you live inside Dodo alongside my lovely Mami for Williams. Sophia Ahunfe, Baku. By the way, Sir Michael, you are really looking super. Okay, thank you, Ernest. This one says, I'm David from Kaswa. Why was Joseph Pencil dropped from the squad? Okay. Good morning. With the player selection, it has been a problem for the coaches from day one. You will appoint, it says from day one, you appointed. And also, Joseph Pencil, Otto has been hitting hard when he left camp for club side, but the player has given out his best. Okay. Good morning, my name is Abubakar Sadek, watching you all the way from Bole, and I'm really enjoying your show, favorite sports show in Ghana kindly, but I wish that your organization would extend your time. Okay, 2 more hours, 4 hours. Good morning, Michael and your panelists. I'm enjoying the discussions. Keep up the good work. Eric Gaga from Aguna Swedro. I think Otto Addo should consider including in his squad senior and experienced players like Asamoah Gyan, Kelvin Prince Boateng, Sule Muntari. These players, I think, will be useful for his bench. But the thing is that these players were not in the 55-man squad submitted to FIFA. So at this point, it is impossible. Good morning. How are you doing, bro? It says, the Goro boy. Oh, no. You can't say this, please. You've got to show people great deal of respect. Good morning. It is clear some of your panelists do not understand what is going on. Okay. Good morning. Kwame Jumo, he says what? It says the unconscious defense. Even my little baby know that handlers of the Black Stars and the FA people are doing business with our team. Okay, it says Kwame Jumo should spare us the unconscious defense. How can you drop inform Tekpete and see no reason to explain to us, yet they want us to bring back the love?
But I said that.
Ruben from Insawon.
Ruben,
but
said that.
Kwame has not defended anybody.
Yeah, even the case of Tekpete, I said that I did not understand how
why
a player like Tekpete did not make the 55.
Yes. Good morning, Metro Sports. How can the coach say that he has never seen Jeffrey Schlupp play, but has seen Jordan playing? Are they not in the same Crystal Palace? I'm believing that he has joined the politicians in making a selection. This is going to be our results in the group stage. We'll lose to Portugal and Uruguay and get a draw with Korea. Ephraim from Navrongo. Hello, I'm Ken speaking from Ho in the Volta region. Honestly speaking, if I were the coach, I'll drop Jordan Ayew and then bench Andre Ayew. No personal sentiments though. I just don't see them enough currently. Yaya from La Paz says, it is the reason for dropping Jeffrey. When they said, then why did the coach call him? If you think you have not accessed him, then why did you call him? Okay, we have a message from our very good friend, Kojo Chumbuafo, former CEO of the Free Zones Authority and a former management member of Accra Hearts of Folk. Okay. Kojo says, okay, it's a long one. It says, can anyone explain what Otto Addo's thinking is? Jeffrey Slop is the second longest serving player in the Black Stars apart from Dede Ayew. So, can he explain why he claims not to have seen him play as the basis for dropping him? Didn't we see pictures of George Boateng at Selhurst Park with Jordan and Slop? You have dropped Slop and you are probably taking Wakasu. You have dropped Joseph Pencil and you are taking the Shahaku. So we need an insight into his thinking. This is just really shameful. The national team is not a private business venture. Very shameful indeed. This is coming from Kojo Chum Boafu. Okay. We are receiving more, more and more. And one of the producers of the show, Richmond NTGFA, sends additional players that have been dropped. Yesterday, we heard of Jeffrey Schlop. We heard of Joseph Pencil. We also heard of Felix Afenajan. But these are all unconfirmed reports.
And there are this report that the third goalkeeper was between Manaf and Danlad. But
Okay.
per what I also heard about some issues around the Football Association,
No.
it's rather Atizigi who is going to the World Cup.
Atizigi.
That is what I'm also hearing.
Okay. But from what GFA is saying, or from what the producer sent, one of the producers of the Ignite Media Sports Desk, he says Wakasu has been dropped, Danlad Ibrahim has been dropped, and Samuel Owusu has also been dropped. But this conversation around the Black Stars player collapse and all will not end. Tomorrow, we'll continue with this same conversation. We'll have Kojo Chumbuafo join us tomorrow, join our regular panel, and then we'll continue because between now and Sunday, this is the period we have to put the issues to the fore to try and influence changes. So we will not, even though
You want to influence?
Oh no, but I mean they may have influence. Is not necessarily forcing the things to
Okay,
happen.
all right.
When
I get
people they may have lost sight of certain things, but when we draw their attention and changes are made, that is influence. We cannot force anybody. Where we sit, we can only tease out the issues, hoping that one or two lessons will be picked from those issues. But we can't force it. But tomorrow we'll continue with this conversation on the Black Stars player selection. Okay. Another senior brother and very good friend, Larry Opare Otu of Primeval Consult says, Michael, I see the Black Stars doing well, but we have to be careful the way things are going. Anyway, we all have to wait for the final squad. Bro, we are all anxiously waiting for that final squad. At this point, we treat all of these, Jeffrey Schlop has been dropped, this has been dropped, that has been dropped, as rumors. But I'm sure by 13th of November, we'll have the confirmation.